Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper and Christmas on the 25th, where I work on my Christmas cards and bring you along for the ride. So get comfy and let's get crafty. Today I am working with Honeybee Stamps set of products. They came out last fall. This is the Floral Noel. It is a stamp, stencil, and die set. And I put them all into one package because they work together. So there are 6 stencils and a huge die set. I've cut it in half to fit into my packaging. And I printed out the graphic from the website just so that I know how the stencils are supposed to go together. So you have these Noel and Joy words that are smaller. They'd fit on a tag as well. Then you have this one-piece Floral Noel and then the NOEL that you can die cut, but they also all work with the stencils as well. So I am going to do this set of stencils 2 times so that I have enough floral images. In fact, I end up having leftovers, but I'm going to use some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. This is 80-pound paper. I'm actually going to use a thicker, heavier weight cardstock for the card base, but for the die cuts and stuff, this will work. I'm using some Simon Says Stamp inks. I have Evergreen, Mint Green, Cocoa. I can't remember them all. I'll list them down below. These are the old inks, so they may not even have them anymore. I don't know. I'm also using a Simon Says Stamp embossing folder that is spun glass. So we are going to zoom through the stenciling. I'm only showing you on camera one set of the 6 stencils. Sorry, the pollen in my area today is a high count, and I am feeling every minute of it. I had to leave my house multiple times today, so sorry, I sound atrocious. I am doing the big Noel on one piece, and then the foliage. I have the large foliage and on a separate piece of paper, but 2 times. And then the banner that comes with it is also on wherever I could squeeze it in. I wanted to make sure that I could have the stencil stick down to my Positively Perfect craft mat or whatever it is, that thing from Stamp. It's called the Positively Perfect Craft Tacky Mat. There we go. That's a lot of words. So the stencil didn't move and my paper didn't move. So I could have used a bigger piece of paper, like a 6x6 or a 6.5 by 6.5 inch piece of paper to get all of the images on one paper, but it's all good. So I'm just flipping back and forth. One thing I do with my stencils when I'm ink blending is before I lift them up off the paper, I wipe them with a dry rag. And for the most part, that's fine. You can see on this paper specifically, there is a little bit of ink smearing on the bottom left-hand corner. That's actually because my little spatula that I've been picking my stencils up off the tacky mat with got ink on the back of it. So, you know, it is what it is. So all of these letters have a little floral bouquet already attached to them on this one main image. And then the smaller Noel and the smaller Joy don't have florals with them. However, there are dies that will cut the smaller florals out that are also in the stencils, like around. So the florals on this Noel, there's dies that will cut those out. So you can have the Noel and those florals be separate. So I'm actually making 4 cards today. I don't think I said that at the beginning. That's why I am ink blending all these stencils twice. I want to have enough to use both the tall Noel, the Noel with the flowers, and then the small Noel and the small Joy without the flowers. I did not end up using banners on the smaller words. Because of the way I had my card laid out, I couldn't figure out where to put them. And I didn't end up using all of the larger floral sprays that came with it either. So I just stuck them into the packaging, and I'll have them to make another card sometime else. So now that I have all the ink blending done, we're going to go ahead and do the stamping. So I'm grabbing another piece of that Neenah cardstock and putting it up into the corner of my Misty stamp positioner. And I'm going to stamp these in that dark brown. It's called dark chocolate because I used brown on the other lettering, or the stenciling rather, the big Noel words. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink these up. I did ink it up 2 times because it is the first time I've used this stamp. However, I don't think I really needed to. I think that if I had been a little patient, I would have seen that the stamping was perfect the first time out. So I die cut everything, and I cut that out of the video because I forgot to turn my camera back on. So I only got half of it anyway. So I have all the pieces die cut out, and the NOEL that I cut out independently still has those florals around it. So what I did was just pull out that ink pad and the blending brush and went back over it to make them more of a solid brown. So now we're going to go ahead. I have some heavyweight cardstock. I'm spraying it with a little bit of water, and I'm centering it into this 3D embossing folder from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Spun Glass. And I'm going to do this to all 4 card panels. See that gorgeous, gorgeous dimension. So I've run all 4 card panels through, and here's all the die cuts I have laid out with their pieces and parts. And we're just going to go ahead and start assembling the cards, like another shot of that texture because I love it. I picked the spun glass because it reminds me of those old hand-spun glass Christmas baubles, ornaments. And my parents used to have a whole bunch of them on their trees years ago when I was a little kid. They probably still do, I'll be honest. They're from when I was a kid, so they're probably like all lead paint and stuff. But they still have some of those really pretty kind of spun glass ornaments. So for the 2 smaller word blocks, they did cut out in one, the Joy cut out in 1 block. And I'm just adding 1 floral spray. The Noel cut out into 3 word blocks, the NO and then the EL, so that you can stack them. That's the word I was looking for. I was going to say center, but center isn't right. So you can stack them. And I'm doing the same thing here. I'm just adding 1 floral spray and then the word block. Sorry, I didn't mean to sniff into my microphone. That was gross. So I added the NO and then I offset the EL in the same way. I put the E down under the N and the L down under the O, and it works out perfect. I am using liquid glue, partially because these are small pieces and also because I am putting them down onto an embossed layer. And there's different dimensions of paper, is what I'm trying to say. So you want to make sure you have as much adhesive coverage as you can. Now, I thought that this Floral Noel, this big 1-piece die, I thought that would cut it out into 1 piece, but it does not. It cuts all of the letters out individually with their florals around it. So I then had to go back and rearrange it, and I was going to pull the negative out of the trash, but thought, you know what? Now I can do this. It's no biggie. It's no biggie. And also I can space it enough to fit the card front that I have, as opposed to space it to, just whatever. So I did kind of just push it around a little bit with my tweezers. And I'm adding some glue to the back, and I'm just going to add them, the letters where I like them. This is very much eyeballed. It is not exact. I didn't pull out any ruler or any of the leftover, the negative parts of the die cut. I just put them down how I thought they would look good. And I don't hate it. I kind of really like it, actually. I actually purchased those last fall when they came out, and I never got around to using them at last Christmas time. So I am pleased that I have got to pull them out now. So the last card is just using the die cut letters and then some of the smaller floral sprays that I cut out. So this is going to be a landscape card, but I forgot to cut a landscape card base or a top folding landscape card base. So it'll be a side folding landscape card base, which I don't do hardly ever because, quite frankly, it feels a little weird. But I'm using what I got. So I just have to figure out, and I was going to spend the time to put these all down perfectly. I'm like, you know what? Just get the letters on and then figure out where the florals need to be. So I started with the N, and I put it about in the middle, almost to the edge of that white panel. And I'm holding it down for a minute, and then I realized, ooh, shoot, I got to lift that up to stick the flower underneath it. So gratefully, liquid glue doesn't permanently set that quickly. So I kind of slid that little floral spray down underneath that first, or the top part of that N. And then I'm going to do the L. Now, I probably should have brought in a ruler or something, but I just lined my card panel up with the grid mat on my desk. And because of the florals going in and around them, you're not, unless you're looking for a reason to dislike this card and looking for a reason to think it's not straight, you're not going to really notice. So once I had the N and the L down, I added the O and the E. That way I could space them out and have everything spaced properly. Again, I'm a visual spacer. I like to put them down how I think it looks best versus mathematically because I don't math correctly a lot of times. I flip numbers back and forth, and yeah, I don't math correctly all the time. So I'm going to lift up the very end of this E and kind of slip that last little floral underneath it. And now we're going to do some stamping on these banners. I did have 4 banners cut. So I grabbed some of the sub-sentiments from the stamp set and added them to the banner. I didn't center them very well, I will be honest. I was kind of like feeling like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this done because the 25th is almost over and I don't have this up yet because my life has just gotten a little, I tried a new schedule and it did not work. So I need to go back to my other filming and creating schedule because this is not working for me. Also, because of the pollen, I have not been feeling great and I've not been sleeping great. So I've not had a lot of desire to get a lot of anything done. So before we add the sub-sentiments, we are going to take my ATG dispenser and add some double-sided adhesive to the back of each panel. Normally, I would say when you're using a panel that has gone through an embossing folder that a liquid adhesive is better. But sometimes, even with a heavyweight cardstock, liquid adhesive can kind of show through the paper if it's white. So I'm just putting a lot of this double-sided adhesive. I did run out, have to put a new roll in my ATG. So I'm going around all 4 sides and then one diagonal strip down the middle, just to make sure that this embossed paper really sticks well to that cardstock. And I did a white on white. I added the embossed panel just to give the background a little bit of texture and movement so that, but without distracting away from the die cuts. So on this Stack Noel card, I'm going to add the Joyous banner right there around the L. And Joyous is one of the ones I didn't really center very well, but it looks okay. I don't hate it. And then the other Noel card, I added the, gosh, what is the sub-sentiment on this one? Love and Peace sub-sentiment, and I added it around the N and the O. And I couldn't figure out a really great way, because of the way I put these cards together, to add a banner without covering up the whole letter. So I just didn't. I could stamp these sub-sentiments on a piece of like dark brown cardstock with white embossing powder and add them that way, and that would be really cute. So here are all 4 cards. We're going to take a look at them again one at a time. And the camera and the lighting in my office kind of blew out that texture. You can't see it as well in the finished. And I took these pictures like a dozen times, but because, well, I take pictures inside my house and it's not natural light and it is what it is. So thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a couple of other videos here that I think you would like as well. I've also added that subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you did. Leave me a thumbs up if you liked the video and have a really great day.